Okay, so this video started out to be one thing and has now become something else. And that's weird, right? Well, to some people, to me, not so much, because I assure you this happens all the time to content creators. We get a story, we look at it one way, we read through it, start to put something together, an outline or whatever. And then all of a sudden we look at it again and we're like, wow, that's not really what the story is about. Now, whether or not the author intended it to be about the thing that we're supposed to be covering here is not relevant, because they looked at the information, they looked at the data, they looked at the story, and they told the wrong one. And I was going to talk about the decline of children's television programming and that correlating to the fact that there's a decline in consumption of it, because that's the kind of thing, or the kind of the way the story is written. And that's actually not what the story is about at all. It also isn't about why necessarily this is happening the way that the author is describing it. No. It's a bigger story. And that bigger story is... Okay, that suspense thing was fun. I mean, well, at least to me. Maybe not to you. You probably were expecting another part of that sentence, but I'll continue. The bigger story here is why people are going to flee from cable and satellite faster than ever. That's the actual story. That's it. We talked about the end of peak television in the last few weeks. In fact, I've done a lot of stories in the last part of this year on the way streaming is kind of taking over some portion of television, but not at the same rate that people are abandoning cable and satellite. And we've talked about that collapse. There is a collapse of cable and satellite, and of course it's happening, but it's happening at an even faster rate, and it's going to, quote unquote, haul balls in the very near future. There are going to be even more people leaving even faster in just like waves, chunks, whatever you want to call it. And if we just take this article for for what it says, the death knell for children's programming, and look at it more broadly and step back, wider lens, whatever you want to say, we can see that the price increases for cable and satellite are now going to be accelerated, which in turn is going to drive more customers away, and it becomes a circle and something that, I guess, a downward spiral. So we're just going to take Disney, for example, because, well, they have a lovely chart here provided by Variety's VIP, and we can see that Disney collected about $1.1 billion from its affiliates, where they distributed their programming. And that number, of course, is just for 2022 alone. And it's just for the Disney Channel, not any of the other channels that they actually have, that they actually force bundle with their product for anybody that's distributing it. But we'll set that aside. See, just the Disney Channel alone is about 1/3 of the total affiliate collection of the $3.1 billion that's out there for children programming. So it's a pretty good marker. Let's just put it that way. They also run their own advertisement there, which kind of separates a lot of stuff out of the equation and just makes it cleaner to work with, right? Now, as the audience for these kids channels start to shrink, and they have, we're going to look at those numbers in just a second, the dollar amount that each subscriber becomes more, well, responsible for has gone up. It's gone up. In fact, they were paying, these subscribers, pay about $10.68 of the bill in 2014, at least for this particular set of channels, these children's channels, right? And specifically the Disney Channel, right? So that was 2014. It was $14.16 as of 2022. In other words, the carriage fee for just that one channel went up almost $4 for no reason, because there's fewer people watching it. And of course, like I said, this is just the Disney Channel. The numbers get more exaggerated when you look at the primetime viewing specifically, and that's for a myriad of reasons, but it's important to note that the weight of all of these fees and these fee changes is quite stiff. I mean, from 2017 to 2022, this has resulted in 83% fewer viewers of the Disney Channel, now specifically in primetime, but a shift in fee change of 19%, almost a 20% increase. So you've got 83% fewer viewers, you've got a 19% fee increase. That's a bigger portion of financial responsibility falling on this limited number of people who are actually watching this. So this article points out the need to window the good content in the primetime area, like, you know, Bluey or whatever people are watching on the Disney Channel, because I wouldn't even pretend to know. And that will push kids to those viewing hours. Well, there's a lot of factors in there that prevent that from happening. I mean, obviously kids have different bedtimes, and some of the targeted programming windowing, whatever you want to call it, isn't going to work out because the kids are doing something else at that time. Maybe they have piano lessons, supper, a whole lot of other things. So I don't know necessarily moving things into prime time is going to help. But that's really, again, not the problem. The problem is there are fewer viewers overall that are carrying the weight of all of these carriage deals. That there are fewer people, and there are fewer subscribers overall. So as cable and satellite distribution subscriber fees increase more, people will bail on that particular model. I mean, they already are. I mean, they're just going to do it much, much faster. And we've actually seen it. In fact, the recent deal with YouTube for the NFL Sunday Ticket, now mind you, this isn't children's programming, this is a little bit broader based programming. And of course, you know, add to that the Amazon's Thursday Night Football programming. And notice you can tell I'm just talking about like broader sense here. Those two deals, right, may have just lost DirecTV its last bargaining chip when it comes to their customers, because they're losing ground. They're losing some of the unique things that existed for people to even maintain the subscribership that they have. I would argue that, you know, streaming essentially has made fodder of any kind of linear product. In fact, you're going to see even more people moving to fast distribution because of these kinds of shifts. And that, of course, is going to make, as people move, it's going to make the carriage of sports on satellite and cable quite redundant, because it's available in other places and you can pay one fee and watch all the games. I think that appeals to a lot of people. Again, that kind of redundancy means it's unnecessary. You're taking away with those types of things the primary reason that people or any customers maintain any kind of linear corded connection, and I'm including satellite and cable together in that. I guess ultimately this is to say that entertainment that's delivered in this way, this kind of distribution, is incredibly antiquated. Media companies are desperate to hold on to it because, well, it's a steady source of revenue, and it's always been and still kind of is quite lucrative. It is, after all, like one of the last things that they have that's profitable, because streaming is not profitable. Unless you're Netflix, if you're a network, if you're a studio, streaming is not making you money. And it's not going to for quite some time. See, the affiliate revenue, as we pointed out, for just one channel alone, the Disney Channel, is absolutely ridiculous. $1.1 billion. It's a lot of money out of $3.1 billion pie. It's 1/3. And of course, all that stuff is passed down to consumers via their bill, their subscriber fees. As an aside, this is funny because we're a little bit of sports ball here, but as an aside, you really don't want to know how much you may have been paying for ESPN, even if you didn't subscribe to the tier that carried ESPN. Like, you didn't have the sports package that had ESPN in it. Yeah, that was still in your cable or satellite bill. And that went on for decades, maybe many years, and it was almost entirely under the radar. There were only a handful of people that knew it, and even after they got called on the carpet for it, I believe sued for it, if I remember correctly, still a lot of people didn't know that. You paid for ESPN even though you weren't getting it, because it was part of a carriage deal, and they had to distribute that cost across everybody and not just the people that were getting that tier, or else they'd prevent people from getting that tier, or they'd move over to, from satellite to cable or vice versa. Now, we can look at things outside of these kid networks, like I've already been doing, to look at a bleaker picture. Let's look at a broad but bleak picture. And this, again, we're going to target primetime specifically because that's what this article is focused on, and all their numbers and charts and wonderful things. See, sports and news are actually down 19%. So they took the least hit of anything. And in fact, there are certain networks that are doing better, specifically in news, than anybody else's. And I'm not going to, mention Fox here, but there you go. Oh, wait, I just mentioned it. Anyway, unscripted is down 34%, just unscripted types of television. And then the channels that are actually providing the full variety of content, like, scripted, unscripted, sports news, all that. The variety channels. Yeah, those are down 38% in prime time. So 1/3 across the board for everybody means nobody's consuming that content, which means that as things get more and more expensive and you have more or lower viewership, that apathetic customer is the most likely person to cut the cord. So 1/3 of current viewers in 2022 are ready to cut the cord because they don't watch most of this stuff. If any of it, most people have moved on. So if you're still in that sphere, right? If you're still consuming your product via linear in whatever form or fashion, whether it be cable or satellite, be prepared to carry a larger load. And that means more increases regularly spread across the fewer and fewer of you that there are out there. And again, these carriage deals keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, more expensive for these distributors, these cable and satellite companies. So it's going to be a regular ritual where they're going to be increasing their prices, increasing your subscriber fees, which is insane because you can actually go and, believe it or not, see a lot of free programming over the air. OTA is still out there, as I've covered in many videos this year, speaking specifically about diginets and things like that. You can go back to the beginning of 2022 and see all those things. But since we've wrapped up 2022, I wanted to get right on top of this and say it's going to get worse. So if you're a cable or satellite subscriber, and a lot of people still appreciate that type of offering. They don't mind the linear stuff, right? And they like some of the paid offerings that they get as bundles, but at the same time, be prepared to pay more money because there are a ton of options out there if you choose not to. So if you're going to be a cord cutter, right, you can go out there and get many of the things that you get now on cable that you actually watch, not these children's channels that you don't even look at if you're over the age of 50 and you're an empty nester, right? You're not watching Disney Channel. Why are you paying for it? Anyway, but you're going to get the basics for cheap. You can get it for really cheap. I mean, I guess there's some deals with Sling and YouTube and a few others that are not very expensive to have live TV available. And I think the YouTube option is getting more and more appealing to people, even though they're going to have an additional fee for the Prime ticket thing, the NFL thing. You can always look at fast options, the free stuff, right? We've been talking about those here on the channel in 2022. And as we move into 2023, they're getting more and more appealing. And you've got another one about to launch coming to you from Warner. So when you combine that with just basic YouTube that you get for free on the internet, what do you need? Not a lot else, I don't think. I don't think you'll be missing very, very much. But hey, the question is, what do you think about any of this that I've covered today, or if it's even relevant to what you're, well, dealing with in your own life? Is cable a dinosaur now? And is it going to be gone in the next 5 years? Well, possibly. Outside of delivering internet, a lot of people are not watching their cable. 1/3 of people, at least. As you look at that, the next question is, are the networks themselves in huge trouble, right? Maybe that's one of the things Disney's looking at and saying, you know, we got to get rid of ABC because this thing's dead in a few years. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. I mean, as viewership collapses, you know, on cable, we already know that it's collapsing, you know, over the air and in other forms. Is it better and safer for them to lean into streaming despite its complete lack of profitability? I don't know. And another question, is DirecTV even going to be around in 3 to 5 years? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it could be. Is it going to be struggling? Yeah, I think in the next 3 years it's going to be very, very hard for them to exist as they do now, especially with the bandwidth that they have and then the support infrastructure that they need. So I think these are all good questions. And in fact, let me ask this final one. Where are you going to go for children's television? It's definitely not linear television offerings like satellite and cable. Are you just plopping your kids in front of some kind of a streaming show? I think likely that's what's happening. People are putting their kids in front of HBO Max on the children's stuff that didn't go. Maybe. I don't know. I'm hard pressed to think that the kids aren't just looking at YouTube all day. Even though they're not really supposed to without supervision, because I think you can't even have a YouTube account unless you're 18. Could be wrong. But this just blows my mind. So I don't know. Is this all over? Is this model all over at this point? Is it recoverable? I think maybe streaming is the last line for these entertainers, and I think even that's going to get a little sketchy as the economy gets worse. But hey, Again, this time is for you. So what do you think? Please leave, whatever comments you have down below on any of those questions or anything we talked about today. I'm compelled to have a discussion around this. I don't usually, get this excited for a Friday video, but let me tell you, I am, because this is bonkers. I'm so glad I grabbed this story. Of course, I'm going to encourage you to support other independent creators out there right now. There's a lot of great content coming. I mean, I was just hanging out yesterday with Sci-Fi for Me TV, and that was a lot of fun. I'm going to be hanging out here with Carrie over on Deprogrammed here in the very near future. Deprogrammed with Carrie Smith. I feel privileged to hang out with all these incredible creators, and obviously over on Midnight's Edge for Midnight's Edge in the morning, and Mead for, Midnight's Edge after dark. Of course, I'm always at Comics Division on Mondays and Thursdays. All of these content creators need your support. So if you like something, love it. I mean, get on it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you don't miss anything. Comment on their videos on live streams. It really does drive the algorithm, and it really, really helps channels grow. And I appreciate it, so I know that they do. And of course, share out the content that touches you the most, right? The content that rings true for you, because I guarantee you, your friends, the people that you connect with on your socials, is probably going to ring true with them as well. And with that, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye. And don't forget to check out my Rumble at rumble.com/CultureCasino.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.